All right, Chapter 5, Project Definition, Contract Document Development, Introduction, Project Definition, General Goals, Project Definition, Requirements, Analysis, Data, Gathering Process for Product, the User Questionnaire, Interviews, Requirements, Analysis, Charte, Control, Project Definition, Design Charte, General Design Team, the Design Charte, Product Sustainment Development, and New Project Sustainment Development, New Reinnovation Project, Architectural Compatibility, Structural Integrity, Disease, Design, and Comprehensive Interior Design, Security Design, Schedule Value, Engineering, Policy, Procedures, Project Definition, Design Submittals, Contract Documentation, Development, Design Progress, the submittal of the early pre-designs, the submittal of the 30% pre-design, design submittal 60% if required, pre-final design submittals 90% corrected, and final design 100% required. The advertise the procedure of the project on hold. 6. Contracting development, document development, formal review process content with the transmission A&E notions, cost and control scope of the change during the design performance period and placing of the occupied site. 8. And recommended documentations. Chapter 5, Project Definition and Contract Design Process initiated with the pre-definition conference. Chapter 4, with the notice of the proceed with the architectural engineer, design agent, and the house, the design staff. See Chapter 3, the design process has two major phases, the project definition and the contract documentation and development. And see Table 5, 1 below the general project definition with the construction document development checklist. Project definition, constructional document development checklist, conducting the pre-definition conference, issue notice to proceed with the pre-definition project definition, define customer requirements, data gathering, conduct requirements analysis, charte, developing project definitions, design charte, project, prepare construction development, documentation, prepare request for proposal, draft, statement, work review, request for proposals, draft, and statement of work, obtain funding and authorize, advertise, prepare, and source of selection, prepare elevation factors, approve source selection plan, issuance advance for the commercial base daily, issue the draft with the request for proposal potential bidders if requested, or if used to perform the final request for form proposal review, issue the request for proposal, issue the appointment of the letters SSET, TAT, and CET, conduct the training of the SSET and TTCT, conduct the pre-proposal conference of management, inquires and amend the request for proposal if necessary. The project definition phase consists of the two activities: requirement analysis when data gathering project requirements complete with the validated design chart with the schematic of the concept of design development included with the parametric cost estimated base with validated requirements and concept design and the project development, project definition, and form of the site of the panoramic cost estimate, safety, satisfy the congressional requirements for the submitting of the project, the president budget. See Appendix 31 on the project definition overview matrix, the overviewing the project definition process. Contract documentation and development includes the design, development, preparation, and working drawing specification column and H for the 100% of the design documentation project considered ready to advertise with 100% of the design complete documentation, completing environmental impact analysis process, and the additional contract bid documentation. The contract bids that are provided with the contracting officer to the project definition. General, the Air Force program manager is responsible for the project definition phase that must be lead with the portion of the design process level 1 memorandum understanding the Air Force officer, the civil engineering, or the and the headquarters U.S. Army Corps of Engineering, finally 1991 Air Force ownership of the project definition process. Following the notice to proceed, the design contract with the project definition phase begins during the phase of the architectural engineering with the project with the requirements and information for the requirements management plan. A ramp. Define the detailed technical and functional necessary to start the design and see the Appendix 38 for the project definition schedule. For more information, project definition schedules. In particular advantage with the same, the architectural A&E, the complete with both requirements documentation element of the ramp, the project design. However, the operation will not always available due to the time, funding, and the other consideration before the preparation of the requirements and management plan. Review the various suspects, project delivery schedule with a major comment, and design agent to determine the most appropriate means for acquiring the project design services. Remember the preparation of the requirements and management plan related to the planning activities must be found with the operation maintenance and account. The users will primarily consider the actual function will rely on the Air Force program as a technical decision, cost control, schedule aspect of the project. The Air Force program manager should ensure the project definition and address for these items the compatibility with the quality and function to avoid the redesign example later. For example, the users probably don't care about the size of the ducts, or how the wire gets to the switch to the fixture, or the structure of steel of the concrete. The only care is that these things work. The Air Force program manager and the architectural engineer do a good job during the project definition phase. That needs to return the user to conform the requirements during the contract development document development phase will minimize. An example of the statement of the work of the project definition can be found in Appendix 19. Statement of the work. The statement of the work identifies the project definition requirements for the most of the complex the tailor of the type of the name of the submitted with the example of the statement of the work, the specific project complexity, time, the constraints of the funds availability, and general prompt of the submittal review that are required for the maintain timeliness, clarity, and uniform throughout the project definition will be minimized. B. The goals. The five primary goals of the project definition phase. They identify the validated technical functional requirements to resolve sitting issue the assure the compliance with the base comprehensive plan, incorporate the base and major common all capable Air Force architectural design requirements validated with the facility acquisition strategy. Develop the systematic conceptual design for the satisfactory address of all the technical and functional requirements identified and validated during the requirements analysis phase. Review the validated parametric cost estimate developed during the request and management plan. Apply the cost control during the design method. Appendix 3, the cost control 2, to ensure the project scope of the requirements is estimated cost during the project definition and agreement with the project scope requirements, estimated cost during the requirements documentation, and official Department of Defense 1391. The key achieving the goals of the Air Force program is to ensure the user and other Air Force team members are actively involved throughout every step of the project definition. Properly assembled the project definition project will greatly reduce the likelihood changing during the definition stage or later in construction. So 3, project definition requirements and analysis. The comprehensive clearly defined requirements at the outset to minimize the unpleasant events during the project development. The requirements analysis and efforts to identify the validity of the functional technical requirements of the project with the specified the building system and level of detail required definition and use of the requirements to ensure the executable project. The level of detail may be varied from system to system. For example, the Air Force program instrument to define the building elevations early preliminary design because the customer cares for the appearance and some details may be taken even further. Conversely, with the Air Force program is to discuss the instructional system with the narrative the equivalent to less than 5% of the design. The required level of detail of the system should be spelled out in the statement of the work of the general given the architectural engineering pre-negotiation conference of most of the user requirements well documented during the requirements analysis. At the bottom of the line is all the building system elements defined at the minimum level of the data and detail necessary to the validation of the project scope and the side of the cost requirements analysis after considering of the 2 primary tasks of the data gathering requirements analysis charter. A data gathering process and products. Architectural engineering will have the visit of the site during the pre-definition contract, and the A&E must do so now. Taking photographs, kicking the dirt, comparing the base development drawing with the reality, and covered with the travel budget of the A&E contract. The A&E may also visit similar round-face facilities or other bases. The primary private sector acceptability. The A&E will learn a great deal about the Air Force quality standard being by setting the base civil engineering and the user like and do not like about the existing facilities, depending on the site of the nature of the facility. It may be appropriate to perform the survey site with conducting geographical investigation, primarily prepare environmental studies with the geotechnical information may have the primary major impact with the cost estimate. Typically, environmental investigation shall prepare for the previously used to dramatically affect the project costs and may require the preparation of environmental studies with involving the difference funds and scheduled approval. Architectural engineering will ask the base core engineer with the base environmental office to do a recent study of the near site of the available that may be sufficient with the project definition effort, but the plan carefully to avoid the additional studies but required but these may be the several months to complete, including the requirements if needed with the project definition statement of work. Architectural engineering contract may be fast route, however the office operation and maintenance funds must be used for the environmental studies. Research and primarily conducted with the architectural engineer working on the team members of the architectural engineer may meet with the Air Force program engineer, the base core engineers, with the base fire chief, the security officer, communication officer, safety and environmental management, beyond environmental engineering, user team members to complete and collect the copies of standard guidelines, publication maps, and plans referenced by the request in the management plan. See Table 5.2, requirements and analysis, product of data gathering process, requirements analyst, product of the data gathering process, user and questionnaire, interview documentation for completed user questionnaire, the A&E to comply with the project user organization, chart the diagram of the matrix, documentation, user functional list, relationship with adjacent between adjacent with the works, the groups, the user and the questionnaire is documented with the new building and site requirements such as the hardening and uninterpreted power supply and fuel storage, existing environmental studies product that you included with the copy of the standards broaching effect of the project, the copies of the agreement with the permits of the non-Air Force agencies have jurisdiction of a laundry list for the issue but resolved and clarified during the charrette. The architectural engineer will also be copy of the environmental impact of the studies have been done and specifically for the project existing environmental noise and air, water, and quality studies. 3. The comprehensive planning documentation. The A&E, the collective examining planning study, the traffic parking studies, area development plans, element plans, component plans, general plans, associated mapping of the plan, documentation provided with the detailed illustration. Most of the plan documented plans must be available to lecture format. Survey and soil report the architectural engineering documentation, project site and conditions, including topographical location, sizing, utilities within the adjacent streets, pavements, and ditches, location of the existing landscape materials, other construction, sufficient details to ensure the facility sitting is acceptable, cost adequate. Requirements 5. The utility capacity is estimated building load. Products included to map existing the utility transportation system, the capability then indicated by the architectural engineer prepared with the estimated and anticipated utility transportation load of the new facility on the base of the existing system and equipment of the furnished list. The architectural engineer will complete the use of the base core engineering environmental specification. Existing equipment the furnishing will be read for the new facility. The architectural engineer will collect the budget specification. All new military non-military construction funded items may be or to be accommodated with the new facility. Chapter 7. Cost data assumptions. Architectural engineering gather and costing engineering used by the programmer to prepare with the Department of Defense 1391 escalation factors, area the cost efforts, SIOH, SA percentage inclusion and exclusion from the Department of Defense 1391 based primarily facility prices, officers, secondary defense or historical, typical space precaution, breakouts, administrative and auditorium building system anticipated. Any estimators will be building the design database cost estimated during the requirements analysis related to the design phase of the architectural engineering cost model, which should be compatible with the Air Force parametric cost engineering system and format. The 8. Post-occupancy value engineering studies. Architectural engineering will review the post-occupancy evaluation value engineering studies completed with a similar Air Force Department of Defense project to take advantage of the lesson learned. 9. Site photographs, photograph sites of the project studies surrounding the structure's existing conditions must be prepared on site and charters consistent with the digital photograph and electrical formats. B. The questionnaire using electrical architectural engineering typical statement of work one preparing questionnaire use of validations with basic staffing equipment requirements to determine the space adequate adjacently with properties and priorities adjacent can see of priorities questionnaire the means of collecting quantity of information but are not substitute the face-to-face interviews. First submittal of the architectural engineering user questionnaire example the user questionnaire and appendix to the sample the user questionnaire. The questionnaire is used for the architect A and E with qualified with the user needs the design criteria as well as the design questionnaire stimulates the discussion between the user and the project manager with the NE and will force the user to give greater consideration to substance and interaction mission needs of the building function. Conducting conference calls with the basic course engineering the user project coordinated with the architectural engineer will review the data draft the question with the instruction locate the clarity of the instruction specific directions of when and whom to return to the question, ease of the understanding appropriateness of the detail, expect some of the disagreement among the team players about how much details they ask for the user and representative. A cover letter of the base commander of the user command either the baby and better return with the questionnaire with the exemptions do not lead the user to expect that they are asked for the space of the equipment is necessary to be included with the project. Often the brief of the information packet with the project current status will be diffused from the confusion of the rumors. See interviews. Some of the interviews can wait for the request and requirements and analyst charter with the multiple groups can hear the same thing and exchange ideas, can review resolve the conflicts. The interview can be done by the telephone, in person by the charter. The most private session might be the undercover. Certain concerns seemingly unlike the problem. The solution may not emerge in the larger group. The time, the question to the team members, the information seems to be odd with the request and the management plan of the Department of Defense Form 1391. For example, the existing utilities map is consistent with the site observation. Base core engineering update with the prior to the base fire chief with the standard hydrant sprinkler coverage to exceed the assumption beyond the request and management plan cost estimate. Identify the source of the confusion. No, but this also goes in good time with the private with the base core engineering. The user to uncover the new agenda items included with the project goals. The requirement analysis chart of the charter. Chart A is serious and intensive for the on-site interviews between the architectural engineer, interest of the base organization, base corps, and engineering staff of the project management team. As the minimum of the base organization contact, which should include base security policy, the fire department, the communication, environmental management, the scheduling, logistics. The chart A will workshop the user involved in doing the requirements analysis. Chart A is critical. The subject must be thoroughly discussed at the pre-definition conferences. All the users available, all the appropriate works that are reserved and team members usable. Chart A will result in the upward front planning, the the chart data, the fully development qualified, the functional technical requirements project of the user questionnaire as a starting point. The action may be skipped and decided with the costing, saving the project of the straightforward one or more, two discipline projects such as water line placement and the base-wide emergency monitoring control system or EMCS. Cost estimate will appropriate the estimated tools. Current the cost data should include the current chartes and ensure all changes of the addition to the properly estimated. And see the Appendix 3 for the cost control. Additional information, particular matter of the Air Force program manager should be effectively involved with the coordinating of the efforts to arrange for the charte. Ensure the interviews with the schedule in advance for each of the office knows the allotted time of the Air Force program manager participation of the charte should be enhance the communication between the Air Force participation and the architectural engineer to offer the suggestion and approval of the criteria for the necessary addition and identify the ONE and all the Air Force criteria for the ETLs and etc. to mediate with the conflicting needs between the base participation and hold the line when it comes to authorized scope and cost. Priority chartes, architectural engineering has prepared summaries, graphic displays, questionnaire sheets, and space requirements issued to address them during the charte. The meeting at the time to use efficiently. The architectural engineering bubble diagram show the desired completion adjacencies. The architectural A&E may be stacking the blocking diagrams to show with ways of space, and the use of the brown sheet diagrams to show the proportional use of space. The architectural engineer may also be a dozen or more base maps printed and analysis card with documentation information that have been during the requirement analysis charte, holding the line of the authorized scope of the cost of not most allocated challenge because the major common has the authority to extensively change the scope of the cost of the stage of the design. In fact, the other reason is the questionnaire and the charte that identify early design processes defined between the program and for that which are actually needed to perform the mission. Ensure the charte does not become convenient with the time to add the personal preferences items to the project and increase the cost and scope both within additional functionality value increase the mission effectiveness. The Air Force program manager and the DA must exercise the greater care with the maintain authorized project scope and the program project some money. What design team must be elevate building system materials based on the functionality, mission requirements, sustainable development, and consideration life cycle cost analysis, consider long-term operation maintenance and replacement cost. The sustainable development life cycle implementation of the decision during the charte process will affect the footprint configuration, setting in the selection of the materials, building system. The first cost that must be balanced against the long-term the operating maintenance cost, determining the combination provided with the best value with the budget. The value in engineering is effective with the tool availability, the type of the evaluation, and maybe during the chart process during the subsequent design. Environmental concerns may be identified reviewing the existing environmental study to determine the requirements to value the requirements as proper opportunities implementing sustaining development initiatives whenever feasible. Apply the pollution prevention solution to avoid the near environmental permanent mitigation actions. Use the sustainable development plans previously established project to drive decision making. The architectural engineering should provide with the photocopies, photographs, formative with the DNA 8.5 by 11-inch report provided with the documentation products process of the analyst charte and such as the documentation provided with the decision history of the record of the project and provides the direction for the design as well as the documentation necessary to revisit any of the decision. The Air Force program manager, the architectural engineer, and other team members will find it valuable documentation where their efforts with the photocopy and the bidding to discuss the need for the criteria of the review and comment format. This will assess the architectural analysis of the comments with the various sources of the Air Force program manager for the DA and preferred format. Give the copy of the Air Architectural Engineering distribution of the documentation. Use Army Corps Engineering or the COE. The automated reviews management system arms the online format, but they may not be available to the user. Make sure the team members receive all the requirement analysis documentation. Some of the team may not have to participate in entire charte, and some of the later made comments may affect them. Some of the new information may have to become available. Some completion of the charte that may affect others. The architectural engineer provided with the members of the summary of the documentation follow on the schedule for the remainder of the project definition effort. After the documentation is reviewed, they hand the check about midway through the scheduled review the period to be sure that they have the comments completed on the time, stressing the importance of the prerequisites followed up the design charte. When the comments are finalized, collect them and get them into the A&E of the conference call. The A&E and the DA to determine the review of the comments affecting the scheduling of the design and charte. The fundamental issues that have been modified with the effect of the schedule budget. The special requirements that have been increased with the new site conditions that have been discovered. An additional site off-site utility work will be required. It may be necessary to reconvey the project with the team. The second requirements analysis charte with resolving any major issues. An audit briefing should be conducted with the project team and members to ensure that the Charlotte extension of the two have been challenged and validated with the U.S. requirements, user requirements, every aspects of the ramp. The review is formally comments with the modification made without briefing should document. During the meeting, this can be done with a field tip, the markers, requirement analysis product. At the conclusion of the charte, the A&E product will feed the sketch of the depicting the proposed design solution out of the briefing will be held with the architectural engineer to present the interpretation of the project solicitation, any last-minute changes to the recommendation before the proceeding to the next stage of design. Products of the requirement analysis chart. Alright, product of the requirements analyst chart. The product goal statement. They initiate the priorities listing of the project goals. Tabulated space protection. Some of the user requested space. The requirements is often represented with the spreadsheet data. It lists the project, the personnel, special use, the area, equipment of the area, the equipment of each function, air per Air Force standard net some of the areas, gross area, summary efficiency rate, factor net growth of the area, and specific remarks. Analyst card and project issue. The analyst card, the typical 5A index, usually graphic will convey the idea of the piece of the information. These standards are prepared on plan card information. Architectural engineering gathered the data election need with shared with the project team during the requirements analyst chart. The documentation also noted the criteria, facts, issues that concern the decision, and the show the diagram space with the standards, the use of the common special conditions, requirements, the material building of the system, options under the other project issues, the index cards that will be sorted displays in sequence of topical categories. Site analysis. Site analysis is typical of 5-8 and 5x8, and also prepared the architectural engineering document the important to the constraints, issues, and influences. These cards contain the reduced site plans and site areas, calculation, climatic data, the sketch of the concept, and ideas, the note of the site issues to be worked on site. The issues should include airfield study and explosive safety. Environmental concern product included with the chief of the checklist of environmental issues to be addressed with the project of the scope of the work to mitigate with the issues, also the documentation of sustainable goals of the project. Affinity and the priority matrix. The Petit's diagram documented the results of the U.S. questionnaires interviews that shows the intensity of the need for the close of the proximity relationship between people, the work groups, equipment, and the usage of special use spaces. Brown sheet area is a summary. The large format sheets included with the indicated net space of requirements, definition, and functional requirements that architectural engineering make with these stirrings the chart. A process of documentation reallocation of the space of the budget, 8 people, the process flow of the charts. The facilities depend on the use of the project, high degree personal interaction. The architectural engineer should document the critical flow of the function of the graphic format. The users can react to the comment with the architectural engineer under the process of the facility design can be provided with improvements. Bubble diagram. The diagrams should be used. Documentation solution, affinity, adjacent relationship, different user functions, list of the value engineering. During the requirements, the analyst share the use of the requirements critical may suggest the different potential solutions in terms they have the rent cause of the architectural engineering should documentation during the charade and potential candidates for the evaluation of value engineering analysis during the project definition design chart. The other value engineering opportunities may come with the post-occupancy evaluation lessons learned on previous projects and the value engineering database. 11. Blocking and stacking diagrams. The graphical representation of the building area. The blocking demonstration of the space required for the different working groups. Functional areas that would occur with the same floor, the level of the facility. The stacking diagrams demonstrate how the areas would relate to one another vertically and multiple levels. The cost as the products indicated with the updated parameter cost estimates. Analyst of the problems, the scope of the budget. The analyst of the ensure the list assumption of alternative building systems area. Ensure the possible costs and problems and prepare for the product familiarity with the potential major cost program problems during the project definition design chart. Compare updated parametric cost estimates with the same estimate during the requirements analysis chart to see how more the detail shows up in the cost estimate. Site photographs, the record site of the condition, the importance of the product available. The project definition design chart will be ultimately become part of the final project definition documentation, including nearby key and cornerstone facilities that will impact the architectural capability. The cost control. The cost control is important throughout the design process, especially during the project definition phase, but when the project requirements design options are more fluid, the earlier project terms can be determined with the cost design technical options. The greater the impact the decision will have on the design process in terms of design costs and the time. For example, the architectural engineering estimate completes the project definition phase is higher. The Department of Defense Form 1391 project amount and the determined amount of difference in the occurred possible inclusions. The Department of Defense Form 1391 commonly used the strategy documentation redefine the project definition requirement to delete unnecessary expensive features to continue the project design without the project scope of the approved Department of Defense 1391 programmed amount budget. Identify the additive bids to continue the project design with the reduced project scope of the reduced requirements that will fit with the Department of Defense Form 1391 project amount. They continue with the project design, reduce the project scope with reduce the requirements that will fit in the approved budget, identify the additive bid items, and see if it appears impossible the project the 125% of the programmed amount, even after reducing the scope of the maximum of 25% of the approved scope, deleting expensive items, requesting the headquarters U.S. Army Force Engineering Corps programming that the project identify the potential funding and sources for the authorized project, the offset the additional funding required for the project program request. Section 7 of the Chapter 3, Appendix 3, Cost Control for additional information, cost control design. For project definition design charte, the general AE leads the charte normally saves the Air Force and the DA team. The members participate, those attending the requirements and analyst charte, the senior project leaders, and the participation final review of the project definition design charte with works of the product at the conclusion of the session. Since the project is not entering the phase, this will result in the design engineering solution. The architectural engineering may add the team member to this may include the structural and civil engineering, landscape, architectural, interior design, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers. The goal of the project definition design charte, the efforts of critical here with the user activities, participation, responsible for the schematic project of the solution based with the documentation with the required analysis charte, the methods involved in the explosion, lowering the options to design alternatives, reducing the choice of the preferred solution. The objective of the project definition design charte is to reach the consensus for the schematic drawing the approved solution because the basis for the project design, employment, and the preparation of construction documentation during the contracting, deployment, development phases. Most of the same process, tools, and techniques are used in the requirements analysis charte will be used in the charte. The efforts involved the intensive work session with the collaborative team. The user design specialist, the architectural engineer may use the drafting materials, computer-aided drafting design, rough cardboard models, and other sketch techniques to create a three-dimensional perspective of the project. There are excellent ways to display a solution of non-technical key players. Review the agenda schedule for the architectural engineer project definition design charte. The agenda should be segmented into about 2 hour slots. The participation need not attend every session, but available for the entrance to be addressed. The total team working session should be specifically scheduled to bring the team together at least daily. The core team should be present throughout the session, all the kickoff sessions, numerous reviews and sessions, and warm-up sessions with the team and user essential. After the kickoff briefing, to summarize the other activities dated by the A&E may include the alternative design and development and requirements and analysis data. Alternative design can be initiated in advance on the on-site conference. A&E or represent the citing of the schemes to all the utility routings options for resolving the environmental issues, facility floor plans, elevation, cross-section, building systems. If it's not expected, the user must select one of those unit options representing the A&E. Best efforts to answer the user requirements. A&E with the fully expert. The new options will be explored during the on-site charte, but the scheduled design solution will evolve during the design charte activities. B. The design team. A design team will establish the part of the project management plan. The team includes the project manager, project architectural engineers, environmental safety, communication professionals, plus other team members, point of the contact with science, coordinate with the facility, the project design, the typical project with the team members, contact with the representative, the user the base core engineering, the major com, the Air Force program management included, and if different from the major com, the defensive department of the Army, and the architectural engineering. Although the background experience is perspective, the pressure for the pair among the individual members of the design team, it is imperative that the team members get to know that there are through the routine and continuing dialogue, work together in order to achieve the cost-effective quality and timely design. It's important that the routine contact and continuing dialogue does not circumvent the formal lines of the communication and reflect the levels of authority. The use of the base corps engineering, Air Force program manager, the DAA, and architectural engineering reverse order. The loss of the communication circumvention often results in loss of the design intent formally with the charte and change of the project scope and the cost breakdown of the chain communication. There are times that the direct contact is necessary, such as the verifying site conditions, but some show the communication does not constitute contractual authority. During the project definition, the design charte, the subsequent design management activities draw heavily upon the ability of the team members to represent uses base core engineering and architectural engineering which time spent preparing the responding of the user questionnaire, organizing, conducting on-site the interviews charte, performing the site surveys, location data, locating data, complying with response to the question, the criteria of the marshalling resources at site. At the design process, the parental responsibility of the designation, Air Force program manager, the DA team member, the architectural engineering. The only break in the design efforts come from during the periods of government review. During the review, all other team members should remain actively involved with the coordinating complete with the review of the allotted time activities, review the time, review the team, the architectural engineering intensity data, and the architectural engineering team members are most active at this point. The Air Force program manager efforts should be concentrated on eliminating obstacles and impediments of the team building. C. The design charte product. The products of the architectural engineer during an on-site charte will be on the first draft of the final project definition package. The on-site workman session may be the last time the enter of the project is assembled together at one time. Some important that the team members agree that the work products accurately represent the project and scope, design costs, and other user expectations. See Table 054 Project Definition of Design Charte Products. Project Design Charte site development show the existing and proposed buildings, access roads to the parking landscape, any of the pedestrian walkways, and provide with the utility layout, size, connection points, routings, and off-site low utility upgrade requirements. So schematic floor plans show all the partitions, the doors, openings of the typical contracting built-in cabinets, equipment, plumbing, fixtures. Remember that it is not a construction drawing. Include the critical notes and dimension, expanding the floor plan features so that the people unfamiliar with reading plans will sufficiently information to understand the concept and can locate the space at the formal furniture, equipment, and the layouts. Provide generic furniture, equipment, and furniture places. The key places, special area to demonstrate the space adequate for the use and intended layout may be included. The schematic floor plan is not crowded. Building areas and tabulation. Building area and tabulation will conform with the design gross floor area. Does not deviate the authorized growth floor as shown in the Department of Defense 1391, more than 25% scope, then decrease with 25% authorized scope with required congressional notification. Air Force program manager must remember the scope of the increase is likely to increase the construction costs. Exterior elevations show architectural style, massing, material compatibility, established base comprehensive plan, architectural compatibility guidelines, achieving the design excellence. Products and services for the guidance, but the perspective sketch is not provided by the architectural engineer. At least one elevation view to show the shadows and the proposed landscape materials noted on the elevation, intended building materials and colors, matching models and perspective sketches, and optional but helpful but validating compatibility with the base architectural standards and obtain approvals. General performance plan or general plan of conformance. The validated narrative format, the design solution meets the requirement, the required requirement and management plan, and the base comprehensive plan. All base restriction compatibility issue be resolved. Building section shows significant structural features, relationship, major system components, building sustainment, subsystem cost analysis, review, value engineering, documents processing, the conclusion of the breach of the during the analysis of various building subsystems, including analysis and value engineering studies are performed. Design criteria and selected building system narrative. Address and outline of the proposed building system, unique design features, and related with the design criteria that outline developed in the base of the design for the final delivery. Cost estimate. Prepare unupdated functional of the building system with the cost estimate. Make sure the architectural engineering include all the support facility cost documentation, any of the project scope variations, identify the alternatives, reconcile with the budget and project justification and cost adjustment with the major operable maintainability report, identify all operating maintenance and in accordance with the engineering technical letter, reliability, maintainability design checklist for the facility management maintenance engineer. And 12, an environmental checklist. Complete the draft and concern with the sustainment and development consideration of the drive feature and construction decisions. D. Sustainable development. New project. Sustainable development must be one of the primary objectives of planning, design, and construction, operation, and maintenance of the Air Force facility, and structure of the overwhelming evidence that suggests the object that has been adequately addressed in the past. The low initial investment cost has usually been overriding the concern with the new construction, the short-sighted approach for the often exact with the high operation maintenance price over the life of the facility. In addition, with there are costs associated with the resulting facility downtime and accelerated deterioration, ultimately impact the workforce well-being and productivity. Long-term impact, shortchanging the operational maintenance, engineering, watering, conservation, indoor, air quality, and other sustainable development concerns are far outweigh the initial savings. Keep the resources efficient, made by the selecting the building materials, efficient use of the resource includes the using materials durable, recyclable, and end of the lifespan manufactured recycled materials. Using the Environmental Protection Agency maintains a list of products containing the recycled materials been purchased by the federal agency. The products may be used whether to satisfy the technical requirements of the project available for the two or more sources. Does not those more than comparable to the product with recycled content available in time manner. Environmental Protection Agency publication number EPA 530 PB 98007. Resources about buying recycled products, September 1998. Address the products. Say the engineering technical letter, the engineering policy agency guideline in items construction, other civil engineering specification, additional information. And just the sustainability development feature of the given priority to consideration. All future planning, design, and new construction, renovation, existing facilities, a logical approach may include the identification of facility system components that have historically been joined the greatest drain of the manpower, the resource, the best source of the information comes directly from the maintenance personnel and the operatives who live in the or plan the design construction. Shortcoming the people must be operated with maintaining efficient facilities to be or the best qualified authorities can quickly point out the operation maintenance problems generated with repeated failures, outpouring the resource the year after year, ensure the checklist. The consideration include the request, resource, and management plan covering the items of the checklist. Exterior finishes specified during the specified with the architectural placing and the low or maintenance. Consider the materials provided with good insulation, recycled materials, manufactured with low injury, environmental cost. The interior furnishes the low pressure, low maintenance, high durability finishes with such vinyl wall covering rather than the paint. Install the chair rails, wainscoting, and corner protectors area of the heavy track with high use and consider impact of materials with high indoor care quality. To investigate the ways they use less materials and high in recycled qualities. Windows choose the metal casting, sashing of the baked on, dipping and anodized finishing with a low maintenance frame. The thermal breaks, the double triple glazing with low E glazing, other special characteristics, the engineering efficiency noise, all attention. Roof also specified whether feasible or fewer leaks improve the installation with the engineering efficiency. Longer cycles between the major repairs and mounting the HVAC equipment antennas on the roof where possible. Evaluating the engineering conservation impacts regarding light or dark roof colors. Mechanical system incorporating centralized monitoring control maintenance points and provided easy access features. The operation maintenance evaluating the engineering conservation impact of the first cost trade-off. Then reorientating the building on the site of the increasing the building insulation. Other sustainable development initiatives. Utility distribution loop system with the backfeed capabilities provide adequate shutoff at the point of sale, safe, efficient trouble shooting and sectionalized repair when provided or required a utility meters, individual buildings, and monitoring the building performance, engineering, water saving. Streets and roads planted with sufficient drainage of the base, prevented the base with the course failures, the surface potholes planted with the utility deduct the intersection of recycled materials when practical. Specification encourages the use of the shelf life and system of the components include the sustainable deployment items such as the recycled materials, corrosion control, use non-metallic components of the buried in the utilities, however the possible include installed cathodic protection metal components buried in soil. Also consider box utility delivery system in areas where access is required and ensure the protective coatings are appropriate in the environment. Communication requirements need to be thoroughly defined and made accessible. Sustainability and development renovation project. The same consideration and above the new construction would also apply to the renovation project with the exterior and interior finish of the roof, the windows. In addition, renovation works provided with the opportunity to sustain the development and maintenance improvements and such for the replacement and obsolete with the efficiency, utility, and electronical, mechanical, and equipment to maintain modern reliability and easy to maintain system. In addition, with the items discussed with the new construction, ensure the following concerns that are addressed in the planning with the design and construction process. Close the scrutiny, ensure the inclusion with the sustainability improved during the every stage of the design. Associated reviews, screws proposed construction materials finishes the system accompanied with basic realistic evaluation and test of the new untried system materials, strong quality assurance of control during the construction evaluated and acceptance and occupancy, documentation of success and failures, lessons learned, and are cross-feeded. 5. Architectural compatibility. The Air Force established the architectural compatibility guidance for reflect the culture of the regional architectural environmental influence with most of the Air Force installations. These guidelines include the architectural style, materials, colors, landscaping recommendations. Copies of the guidelines are available in the Base Corps Engineering Office and online, and should be a part of the requirements and management plans of ensure the architectural engineering review plans design the project in accordance with the goal of the objectives. Main base of the Air Force assistant team of the AT studies of the place, comprehensive plan components of the address of the pedestrian vehicular traffic circulation project-based growth of the consolidated function open areas, overlanding the use requirements. Air Force assistant team is not suitable for the Base Corps base comprehensive plan, but provides input for the base planning process for the Base Corps. Copy of the base comprehensive plan at the Air Force assistant team studies of the available to the Base Corps engineers office should be at the requirements and a management plan for the and ensure the architectural engineering proportions of the Base Corps comprehensive plan deal with the architectural compatibility before starting the design. Identify the cornerstone of the facilities in the pre-definition conference if they are not already listed in the requirements and management plan. Structural interior design. Structural interior design considered the basic building services included the built integral attached furniture of the section and applied with the finishing the building and interior features. This include graphic signage, lighting, and the may include the drawing specification system and features. Furniture, the detailed description of the structure interior design submitted with requirements. Air Force Interior Design Guidelines, Chapter 13 or 12 of the Structural Interior Design Comprehensive Interior Design Presentation Format. The comprehensive interior design is a design process developing integrated visual design with reflecting the interior atmosphere design with the Air Force. The involves the selection, sampling of the furnishing components of the interior environmental addition with the structural interior Creative design. The comprehensive interior design may include system features, freestanding furniture, artwork, the accessory. This comprehensive interior design developed concurrent with the design facility and envelope. Detailed description of the typical construction, comprehensive interior design, subsequent middle requirements for the aircraft interior design guide publications. Also, see Figure 11.1 of the CID facility design submittals. The process of the comprehensive interior design includes selecting, developing interior buildings, furnishing the design coordinated with the interior movement. The furnishing selected with the comprehensive interior design generally includes, but not limited to, wall hangings, markers, tack boards, desks and systems, furniture, chair, tables, works, files, other system items. The comprehensive interior design efforts provide the professional interior design for the ensure the quality of visual design achieved with the integration of the visual design discipline with the design items, the times, in terms of the total integrated facility design, Air Force consideration functional visual aspects of design are essential for electrical, mechanical, and structural systems. The comprehensive interior design services are normally provided with the interior design specific option of the architectural engineer scope under the separate contract with the final product must allow the furnishing of the contract of the purchase of the desired furnishing within the procurement regulations. Coordination with the contracting officer during the contract development phase will help to ensure the furnishing selected at the same time with the ultimately installed. The interior design space of the function should be an integral part of the facility's design process, starting the pre-definition conference on all of the projects identified with the comprehensive interior design, furnishing layouts coordinated with electrical, telephone, computer outlets, and lighting systems. Ensure the comprehensive interior design and the structural interior design are issued to discuss resolve with the base, major personal development resource for documentation, early design process, advanced design, agent of the comprehensive interior design requirements should be included with the CBD, synopsis, commerce business daily synopsis. The major must be established the furnished budget of the project. The Major Com will finally approve the authority of the comprehensive interior design submittal, but will use the operating maintenance funds for most of the furnishing items. Document data collection conference with the user interior design are usually required for the project definition, preliminary design, 60% pre-final design, 90% ready to advertise phases. On large of the comprehensive interior design project of the controversial high visibility interest, the Air Force project managers should attend, serve each facilitators as the controversial small simple jobs to warrant with the same attention to the comprehensive interior design efforts. Successful architectural engineering having worked with the knowledge of the federal procurement and priorities of the government so apply with the source of the accordance with the Federal Acquisition Regulation Part 8001, see Chapter 9 for non-appropriated funded requirements. And then we have another chart here. This is the comprehensive interior design facility design submiddle chart, the pre-design input with the pre-definition project definition, the future furniture footprint with preliminary design 30 days following the receipt of the comments, and then to the color board, and then the 90% of the design, pre-final design and final design 100% within 75 to 120 days after the NTP, and 100% of the design and comprehensive interior design complete, 6 to 9 minutes with procurement and the BOD. All right. The Air Force program managers ensure the personal knowledge of the Social Securities are the president with the pre-definition conference really explain the requirements, particularly with the project, including the security issue during the construction design, complexity, security areas such as the sensitive comparative, the compartment information facility or SCIF, top secret, etc. requires special expertise. Failure to meet the security performance requirements such as the noisy transmission often prevents occupancy and intended to use for the check with the appropriate security personnel with the type of the systems available for the use of the design schedule. The design schedule is established by the Department of the Army, but the Air Force program manager must ensure the schedule with the adequate address with the Air Force requirement. The appropriate schedule is recommendation and found with the following figure: the review, the confirming design schedule with the DA, the track progress closely, obtain the justification and for any slippage, minimally schedule revisions, track progress of the contain, obtain justification for any slippage when the Air Force project manager actively involved with the design team will be energized. Delivery schedule will be maintained. Providing Air Force requirement with a timely manner communicated with the DA, regularly confirming the submittal dates, being alert of the circumstance for many of the result, and notifying the appropriate officer of any force concerned with the phone, email, message, or official correspondence, verifying the site visits, surveys, and data collection occurred within expected, escalating the issue of the higher levels, the reason for the delays, and adequate due matching in the facts. Calendar between milestones A&E greater than 300,000 and A&E less than 300,000. Time must be added. Preliminary project definition is required. NTP project definition 0 to 0 days. In between 40 to 80 days project definition. But if it's greater than 300,000, less than 300,000. 165 days greater than 300,000, and 235,000 days less than 300,000. 95% comments for the DA. 180 days of the greater than $300,000 and 250 days of the column cumulative days. 100% final 210 days, 285 days less than 300,000. IFB 240 over 300,000 and 315 or greater than 300,000. Bid opening 270 less than 300,000 and 345 days greater than 300,000. 300 days of less than 300,000. Cost construction 375 days greater than 300,000. The goal of value engineering is to reduce the cost of the facility acquisition, long-term operational maintenance costs without reducing quality. Value engineering has proven the track record of achieving the significant cost reduction with sacrificing quality, impact, mission, and the requirements of increasing life cycle cost. The intent of the value engineering study to review the project design and set of the eyes independent with the project architectural engineers. Other alternatives may produce the life cycle cost system. 1. The policy. The Office of Federal Procurement Policy, or Title 41 U.S. Standard Code 401, extended sequence amended with the 1996 that required the executive agency to establish and maintain cost-effective value engineering procedures, process the Office of Management and Budget with the Circular A131, required the federal agency to apply the value engineering procedure for all the project estimated with $1 million or more. The prime major comment determined the formal value engineering not required for the project, but must place a signed memorandum of the project file to state the value engineering study was not accomplished to show classified projects. The projects classified may be exempted, but the major comment determined the study will create an unnecessary security problem. Although major comment may be conducted the study in the House of the staff of the architectural engineer, major comment relies on the Department of Engineering or Army to conduct the value engineering. The major comment identified the value engineering with the field design instruction. The DA provided with additional funds for the planning design account. The DA may use in-house staff for the architectural engineering contract engineering design project. 2. Procedure value engineering should be conducted early in the design recommendation. Value engineering during the design chart, the project definition phase. Most eligible projects, both the traditional design bid and build projects, either by both the VE design and building projects during the phases of the Air Force normally does not require the value engineering study after the award of the design build contract. However, the post-award value engineering study may include the contract requirements when desired by the Air Force program manager. If they may appropriate the complex project for the accomplishment of the two value engineering study, the value engineering methodology is flexible. The Air Force program manager and the DA wish to apply the value engineering principles during the project definition phase to conduct more detailed value engineering study during the contract documentation development. However, the value engineering during the contract document development phase may delay the design process, including design construction costs. All approved value engineering recommendations be reviewed by the user-based MajorCom, the Air Force program manager, the DA. The base of the MajorCom may concur with the value engineering recommendation regarding the maintenance, aesthetic, and appearance of the evaluator. May alert the possibility of value engineering suggesting contrary to the sustaining development goals established for the product and developed with the team, environmental and sustainment development and specialists approving the suggestion and improvement of the value engineering recommendation should not be the functional maintenance of the operation. Aesthetic appearances should improve the quality of the facility and lower equal life cycle costs. Major comment has a final approval or disapproval of the value engineering items. Most report whether the value engineering study was required by the PDC or ACS. Value engineering applied by the construction contract award. Contractors may submit the value engineering change proposal or VECPs. Construction agent, the value engineering changing proposal review of the U.S. Army based MajorCom Air Force program manager. The construction agent must be approved by the Air Force manager, and the construction agent approved the value engineering changing proposal and implemented in the contract modifications reported by the PDC and ACES net shaving list shared between the contract of the Air Force and several federal acquisition regulations, Part 48 and 52-248. Functional analysis system fast diagram. The value engineering process grounds goes from how for the designing to when between the designing object, higher function and basic function with a critical path to the basic functions that happen all the time. And other than that, underneath that, blank spots with the function that happen all the time and are caused with some other function. Scope of the problem under the study. L, the project definition, design submittals. In general, the project definition will include the schematic of the site plan, utility layout, the architectural floor plan, the facility elevation, the architectural engineering, including include the narrative description of the major engineering system, unique design feature of the environmental issue, the operational maintainable, however the project is linked in the base comprehensive plan, the architectural engineering provided with the parameter cost and prepares a validation project definition, preliminary design submittable to necessary to get an early look at the definition, architectural engineering heading with regard to the various items. However, the project definition, preliminary design submittal should be generally to preserve the complex multiple user projects. The final requirements analysis report the critical submittable because the submittable is defined with the criteria requirements of sequential development and contract documentation development will be based on the most correct and complete suited base and the user. Comparison of the budget estimated with the Air Force parametric cost engineering system and the estimated with the project PD, the project definition key, the controlling project design development. Comparing the A&E recommendation information presented with the questionnaire discussion of the requirements analysis chart, the architectural engineering deviated with the criteria to determine why and be sure of the acceptance deviation with the concurrence with the use of the base core engineering, the major common seek the A&E compliance with the criteria to check closely with the A&E cost estimate, Air Force requirements, documentation paramedic cost estimates, no significant difference between the two. Discuss these differences as part of the review conference to determine the design had adequate to address the cost of all items and if the difference would exist between the project and the parametric cost of the requirements and design parameters. Project definition connected is submittable the most effective documentation from the company's professional development presented briefly in the senior base of the major common official. The purpose of the briefing to ensure the user involved in the coordinated with the lower and upper level of the user organization briefing will also have the effective of casting of the floor plan elevation concrete that reduces the possibility of later change of the design. Air Force program management should make the effort for the every effort to ensure that the briefing occurs with the individual officials present at the hearing. The reaction to the questionnaire obtained with the signature of the commander using his organization project definition documentation. Ensure the right officials are involved with the project definition outbriefing. Other approval may come from the local governance, historical preservation, often the environmentalists. They put the other drive the project cost beyond the budget. Then the project must be stopped or redesigned. The time consuming expensive emotional process, including requirements of project definition phase, obtain the approval prior to proceeding with the construction documentation development phase. 5. Contract documentation development. The design of the major phase, the second major phase of the design process, the continuing dialogue with the project review, the schematics and developing of the working drawing specification, finally, and all the contracting documents, the contracting documents to development phase of the products and graphic products, the plan, floor plans, evaluation studies, and more detailed alphanumeric information, specific parameters and cost estimates, etc. General contracting documentation development is design development phase, beginning with the major issued in the field design instruction authorizing the DA to proceed the design after the completion and approval of the project definition phase. The phase is concentration of the effort of the translation of the project definition information with the construction contract documentation. Changing generally occurs to verify the agrees on the varying impact. The Air Force program manager must remain aware of the main changes of the contract documentation phase. The phase generally will cause the design schedule delay and increase the design cost more than the changes that were made in the project definition phase. Designing progress in the middle of the design process, submittable the opportunity to review the A&E design product to check the compliance with the criteria, add and change the design criteria to answer the question discussed, and issue the problems. The best benefit submittal, especially the conjunction of the review conferences, reduce the wasted efforts, misdirected the efforts of the excellent form to identify the user's need for the early design, not during construction. However, there are pitfalls to many of the submittals. Find most become costly. Each submittal slowly places design provided adequately to add criteria that may not relate to the functional facility. In seeking the balance between the benefits and pitfalls, try to hold the contract document development submittal to the minimums necessary to produce a functional, adequate technical sound design. Air Force program management also decided on whether the submittals of the architectural engineering should stop or continue. The quantity of the submittal documents is to a large extent determined the depth of the review given by the base level team members and the user. Insufficient number to review the documentation and discourage the delay of the review. The effort with excessive number to review the documentation, draw the view, additional comments and significant cost. Identify those organizations they're addressed with, include the reviewer names, building, office, room, with the number, and the quantity of the documentation need for either design or submission. Our second issue of the submittal documentation expenditure, which is distributed with the review time, the decision progress of the submittal with the constraint overnight delivery, both submittal with the documentation, subsequent review comments enhanced with the review of the process, provided with additional review of the days of relatively little cost, communicated with the submittal requirement of the DA before the architectural and engineering negotiated. In the path of design presented to show the design progress, submittable provided with the convenient reference point, when the percentage did not, however, represent the actual level of the effort expended to go into those points. In most cases, each of the submittal identified the percentage design completion of 10%, 30%, 60%, 90%, and 100%. Adding a 5% submittal percentage reflected the review of the submittal has been completed. The submittal that has approved the comments using design and percentages. Created numerous problems. Design percentages have been replaced with defined with the design submittal milestones, project definition, early preliminary design, pre-final design, corrected final design, ready to advertise the military. And these milestones in the track and decision processing determine the submittals are needed with the project definition. Project definition 15%, early preliminary design submittal 30, preliminary design submittal 60, if required final design submittal 90%, corrected final design submittal 100%, and ready to advertise submittal. With the submittal requirement of the medical program with the defined military handbook 1191, 50 chapter 9 for the non-appropriated funds for the projects in the comprehensive interior design and structural interior design services of the Air Force interior design guides. 1. Early preliminary design. The early preliminary design submit the important for the military construction projects allows the Air Force manager to program the base, the major com, the DA, the user to review the architectural engineer's designer intention for the room, the architectural engineer understand all the project requirements to use the best point of the contracting documentation phase. The kind of check the design development efforts make the correction of the design development documentation incorporate the project interior change the incorporating change of the latter in the design process with the most costly cause and delays. The Air Force program management should ensure that all the team members of the design process thoroughly review the middle product and ensure the Air Force engineering proceed with the right direction. Typical early and preliminary design submittal included all elements of project definition submittal, all changes necessary to comply with the project definition, review comments, the structural interior design plan, comprehensive interior design plan, if authorized color boards, preliminary furniture plans, furniture footprints, improvement of the permitting, sustainable development requirements, detailed decision, economical, rational, selected structural, civil, havoc, plumbing, fire detection, protection, life safeties, lighting, power and communication system, listing of the proposed specification for the project, a detailed cost estimate with the cost backup that can be compared with the project definition parametric cost estimate. 2. Preliminary design submittal is 60% if it requires the government furnished equipment is installed with the contractor or cover the installation warranty offer. Only consider using contractor furnished equipment as much as possible unless there is government excesses of government furnished equipment. At this stage, the basic design should have been made with the design development full progress before submittable to all use the non-required more project construction documentation review the conducted on-board meetings with the architectural engineering office that allows the team members to provide the necessary design with the oversight without stopping the design. Formal preliminary design submittal may be necessary for complex, unique projects within significant HVAC industrial operations requirement. Typical preliminary design submittals are any change necessary to comply with the early preliminary design. Review the content is complete with the floor plans, any details, roof plans, elevation, structural, mechanical, plumbing, electrical plans with any detailed various comprehensive interior design plans, furniture footprints, color blueprint, color boards, material site, and landscaping plans. All analysis discussion that were part of the earlier preliminary design submittal specification of rough draft, updated design analysis of the cost estimate. Equipment layout with the necessary clearance for the utility support with it should be shown in the state of the design, constructional specification, renovation project should include the testing of the lead-based paint, asbestos-containing material. Pre-final design submitted with 90%. The architectural engineer submitted the drawing specification ready to advertise. The pre-final design submitted included any changes necessary to comply with the preliminary design. Review comments, final design analysis, color boards and finishes, and cost estimate. 4. Corrected final design. Corrected final design submittal should include any changes necessary with the pre-final design review comments, any correction in the final design analysis, color boards, finishes, cost estimate, and furnishing order forms. Ready to advertise. All military construction is considered ready to advertise. The following activities complete with the architectural engineer submitted with the corrected final design documentation, working drawing specification, cost estimate. The DA complete with the technical construction review. The completed working drawing specification necessary. The architectural engineer modified the work drawing specification, cost estimate complete. Comply with the concerns identified during the DA and technical construction review. The independent government estimate has been completed with the DA. The DA has completed the contract bid. D. Procedures of projects that have gone on hold. A project that had been on hold for more than 6 months, the Air Force program manager needs to weigh the various factors after the review of the revalidation approach before completing the design. A minimum of these factors include how long the project may be on hold, the technology associated with the user mission, extent of the development of the project, documentation, the cost of the project placed on hold, change of the unit pressure of the man personnel, and change of the Air Force criteria. For example, the Air Force program management may be holding revalidation follow-up the pre-definition conferences. These submittal documentation development performance of the project and shelf at the base of the conference regardless of the project show all the more time the decision schedule revalidated commercial design shelf the project of that ongoing design equivalent strategy or stage. The Air Force Management Program should also be requested the DA conducted with a back check of any of the project that has been 100% of design completed with ready to advertise for more than 6 months, and the back check with mandatory review the mitigated modifications that may occur with the changes of the user mission of the personnel. The back check should include the complete review of the user's base core engineering major comment of the DA and the area of the criteria satisfaction. Although the Air Force Program Manager should determine the new cost estimate further than technical construction reviews as required. 7. Contractual documentation development formal review process. Upon receipt of the design submittal, the Air Force program manager should notify all the reviewing Air Force organization advising the date of the review. The comments must be submitted to the Air Force program management consolidation. Design schedule should also follow the Air Force review. The file of the medical project should be in the Military Handbook 1191. Project definition, early preliminary design submission, 21-day calendar, Air Force receipt, mailing and the Air Force comments with the design agent, the final design submission, 15 calendar days, Air Force receipt, the mailing Air Force comments to the design agent. Exercise the care of the formerly late communicating comments and avoid delays in the design process, but ensure the user needs are met. Content. The importance of a conscientious early review cannot be overemphasized. The DA focuses on the technical aspect of the design. The Air Force organization should concentrate on the functional aspect of the design, mission, and requirements, appearance, and the spatial relationship. However, the Air Force project reviews should not be limited to only functional aspects of design, especially in concert FX and operation maintenance. Required to review the comments be carefully stated in keeping the criteria requesting, checking, and changing rather than committing to the form of the question. The Air Force program manager review the Air Force management comments to ensure the legible positive instruction. In those areas, the Air Force unique technical expertise overriding the concern of the solutions, Air Force technical requirements, Air architectural engineering design adversely affect the functional aspects. See the technical comments. Air Force experts provide their comments. The DA resolution, architectural engineering, for example, the conflicts with the Air Force technical specification, architectural engineering should be addressed since they have been tremendously potential for the cost insurance, increase the delays during the construction. The importance of continuously early review that cannot be overemphasized. Only the unforeseen extent of the circumstance should be newly requirement scope they identified after. The completion of the project definition, Air Force program manager should require the commander of the user organization to sign any of the change requests submitted with the project definition completed. Final review of the DA functional. However, the Air Force program manager, the base core engineering may request it include the final review of the sensitive complex project. The purpose of this is to ensure previously supplied instruction review the comments has been incorporated in the design, ensure the contingency among the various documentation with the various sections, specifications, particular building system. The DA must ensure the intent of the comments reflected through all the plan specifications that are no conflicts. The architectural engineer must promptly review the comments to Air Force Management Program. Ensure the Department of Army is included with the architectural engineering. Every review conference meeting, the official decision maker for the most of the documentation with the minutes of the documentation intending the topic discussed with the information passed in the architectural engineering inclusion, drawing decision made with the direction given the minutes become the historical account of the project was well the documentation of the project protection from both the government and architectural engineering review taking the minutes during the informal decision, non-decision making activities to keep the control over the transfer conflicting the information of the architectural engineering. C. Transmittal. Air Force review. The comments should be sent to the Air Force Program Manager Consolidation. Transmittal. The DA comments should be not sent to the DA Air Force organization that do not perform the Air Force Program Manager function. Either detect the information copy of the Air Force review. The comments should not be accepted to the DA unless the comments are verified by the Air Force Program Manager. In most cases, the Air Force Program Manager should share it where the review comments are considered reviewed with the DA. Design review cabinets entered with the free distributed PC base software, the PC ARMS, and the Wing-based ARMS VS software, the electronically transferred with the central computer of the management. The and Navy flag currently have a similar system, although the implementation of such a system is under consideration. Use the ARM increase the efficiency review process, removing immediate access limit legible comments, creating the audit trail with each of the comment, ensure the components are fully created to approve the appropriate level of transmitted to the DA and architectural engineering. For more information, the ARMS contact the district project and the ARMS Technical Center of the Expertise Sacramento. DAEA Architectural and Engineering and Oceans. Instruction the DA provided with the A&E and Ocean with the Air Force and reviewed the comments directly to each of the reviewing organizations and Oceans that identified with the comments incorporated with the design, included the brief explanation, rebuttal technical comments provided with the detailed explanation, rebuttal function comments, instruction with the DA provided with the ordered comments within 50 days of the receipt of the transmitted A&E review comments response. This allows the Air Force adequate time to response to the next during the design phase. 7. Cost control and scope of change during design. Cost estimate during the design of the price tags on alternate building and the materials before construction, performing the affair of the price of the bid. Control the success during the design process is the hinge of the directive of the Air Force program and its ability to appropriate the cost information, making decisions the correct deviations, approved the budget in a timely manner. The major com with the limited opportunity to adjust the program to amount shown in the Department of Defense 1391 once it's submitted to the headquarters U.S. Air Force Engineering Corp. The proposed military construction submitted by the Office of Secretary of Defense Air Force program managers must focus major management decisions on the ensuring the program projected amount identified with the Department of Defense 1391 reflects the correct project scope. Requirements thereof at the present budget submitted to everyone must be prepared to live with the project amount. Therefore, learning the effect of the following cost engineering tools. The Air Force Automating Pricing Guide in PDC and ACES, the AFSCA, Air Force Historical Cost Handbook, Office of Secondary Cost Engineering Guidance, the unit cost, air costs factor, size adjustment factors, inflation rates, Air Force Parametric Cost Engineering System or PACES, a particular parametric system used by the Air Force and Co. at the AFSCA.AFM. AF.mil directed CS Civils Cost Energy Cost Energy HMTL. Paramedic cost estimated with the paramedic system used in the Navy flag. Tri-service detail with the cost engineering microcomputer aided cost engineering system quantity. Take off the system that used the co-units cost and system success quantity of this office system of the Navy flag. When the design cost exceeds the approved budget, the corrective action may be necessary. Small cost differences may result in the variation accuracy cost estimation. The Air Force should be discussing some cost increase the Department of the Army Major Com to determine the appropriate course of the action. Conservation estimating extensive contingencies are often reached for the high cost estimates. Before an action, revise the budget considerably carefully, evaluate the estimate, recent experience with the bid and similar project with the current condition of the construction industrial will help to gauge the extent that the estimate should be questioned. The architectural engineering, the DEA develops an estimate responsible for the accuracy. However, the architectural Air Force program manager should review estimate familiar with the architectural engineering DA track record experience and knowledge of the big picture after the current working estimate. Delete the items of the project should be the last resort. Deleting items from the cost to add back to the during construction. In the project, the cost working estimate is approved by the budget, with a major com approved with the construction is less than one way to address the problem. Reducing the project base of the cost working estimate, possible measures of reducing the project scope, deleting project requirements that may be completely removed from the project score, included the bid package, out of the optional bid of the items the DA was required provide a recommendation to bring estimated construction with the project construction budget estimated with the major com. Major com uses approve all proposed cost reduction measures. The DA cannot implement the measures unless they are fully authorized by the Air Force Program Manager. See Appendix 3, Cost Control, for further information on cost control during the design. 7. Performance period of phasing occupied space. Occupied space special problem during the design, construction, and process. The construction starts with occupant in no other place and no design go to there. The construction phase schedule must be developed in early design process, encompassing the user need with the continued operating phase. Contract with work, keep the work project with the cost elimination, accomplishing the task early with the design. Allow the user plan to work around the procedure and budget, and of any extra cost the operation during the construct. The commander of the user organization should review and sign off the phasing plan. To accommodate more complicated phasing of the building system, you may need a special design condition equipment that may have the size and control of the accommodated parts of the facility that must remain operational when the rest of the facility is altered. Challenging our design agents to set the demanding performance period. The second possible problem can be that the establishment of critical needed date for the completion of all the part of the facility, predetermined equipment, delivery of the mission, bed down date, to discuss any of the critical date, need the dates of the architectural engineer and the user to ensure the construction performance period is insufficient with the accomplishment of the project and the critical need of the date. They must be construction phase that all allow the earlier occupancy certain work areas. Again, the problem areas should be identified earlier in the planning design process. The DA may attempt to set an excessive performance period based on experience, so it may be necessary for the DA to demand a performance period. Chapter 6: Construction Contracting Advertising Award.